I get the feeling that you don't really want to do this right now. Really, what tipped you off? Couldn't be the fact that we freaking closed out a road trip. That I mean, at least it was a better game than the Arizona one, I guess. You mean more scoring happened? Then yes. If by better you mean in a more favorable outcome, then you can go. Or as they say in Dallas, puck off. This team is pathetic. Bruins lose 6-1 in to the Dallas Stars to close out their 3-game road trip at a record of 1-1-1. Freaking uh, uh, good news. Swayman is back. Swayman finally got called back up from his duty down in Providence, and which is a good thing. What's the catch? Eric Holla has COVID, and he's sort of been in the second line center that we need to solidify that line, even though he's not really that great of like a point scoring forward guy. He, he it's frustrating. Of we ended up recalling Stephen Fogarty from so don't really know how that it's supposed to be good or bad, but I mean at least the game looked more interesting than the Arizona game at the start. uh Not great that we end up having the FERT. The game got bookended by Tyler Seguin in goals. How am I supposed to feel happy? How am I supposed to look through the game with a microscope and see what I liked about it? And for God's sakes, I turned the game off halfway through the third period, and then went back just before Seguin scored the sixth goal, just to watch the freaking Niners and the San Francisco 49ers and the LA Rams championship game. By the way, that game ended up being way more interesting than this one. And but also what Jack and Andy were sort of echoing the entire first period until what happened was that Alex Radulov is having a demonstrably horrible season. In with prior to this game, only one goal in his past 35 games, and nothing in the past 28. What happens in the first period? Nothing. Just Lindell forechecking it up to Radulov to allowing him to get a breakaway because Mike Riley decided I want to blow coverage again, and allowing him to score for the first time in 28 games. But less than halfway through the game, it got so bad that less than halfway through the game, because Olmark was starting in net for some reason, and yeah, Olmark, start the day with giving everybody hope that we've got our shit together by announcing that Sweeney's is back, and then by saying that Swayman's back, and then saying nope, we're gonna start Olmark. It's like what is it? It's like the freaking shoot. I'm trying to think of a freaking simile. I should have thought of this beforehand. And you ever what is it? You ever have like you ever just have your parents say outright that you're gonna get a really good present for Christmas, and then for Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever, and then and they're like, oh, but we're gonna give you
we're gonna make you play with your already run down toys, is just to hold you over until then, and you're just waiting every single day and night for it to actually rip open that present. And to be fair, and it ended up being just that, and it ended up being a lot better than what your current shit is. Yeah, that's sort of what announcing Swayman and announcing Swayman's back, and then but Olmark is starting, kind of does. But Swayman ended up playing the majority of the game because Olmark ended up being because Olmark ended up getting pulled less than halfway through the game because he let in four unanswered goals. Craig Smith ended up getting the Bruins one back in the first. Didn't help that Dallas scored just beforehand, so that was 5-1, and nobody's even trying in the third period. And it's gotten so bad that Jack and Andy are Jack Edwards and Andy Brickley are talking about shoveling snow. Because I don't know if you know this, we got a freaking blizzard out here. We got a freaking at least 2 feet of snow on most of around most of the Boston area, and some points up to 3 to maybe even 4 feet of snow. And as they're talking about it, Sagan ends up putting in the last goal past Swayman, in which, great, you interrupted Jack's story about Jim Schoenfeld, you fucking asshole. I'm kidding. Tyler Sagan, I miss you. Eric, Tyler Sagan, what's up, buddy? Come back to Boston and take a spin at Canby Lake Park. I'll miss you. But at least the good thing about this game is that we got to listen to a lot of Pantera, and people wanting to go to the salad bar. I know it's Dallas Stars, but still, it's fun. It's funny that speaking of Pantera, it's like at the beginning of Domination, where I think Dimebag shouts out, "Well, first take like a motherfucker," and then but everybody mishears the lyrics as fart stinks like a motherfucker. But at least we have the Kraken to come back home to, which I don't know. I'm disappointed that they started their season in poor, that they've had a poor opening season. But I mean, you can't really fault the Kraken for doing so, especially because they didn't get a 40-goal scorer just for taking on the bad contract of David Clarkson, or being gifted. I think it was Riley Smith and a second round pick just because Florida didn't want to pay Jonathan Marchessault. Which, yeah, that's kind of stupid. But I think that is it for tonight's episode of Into the Den. Thank you all so much for watching. Click like if you like, click subscribe if you really like. Down below is still the GoFundMe for Jake Tebow's GoFundMe page for Jake Tebow's paralysis recovery to help out a kid in the Boston area who is severely injured in a hockey accident. And tell your friends that that splitting it even isn't always great, especially when it's a hockey game, especially when it's hockey, and splitting it even means going 1-1 and 1, because that's essentially going 1 because that's essentially going 1 and 2. And that's not